Get this ball rolling, I'd like to introduce you to my first guest, a skilled author, a popular inspirational speaker, Bronwyn Sciortino. Please join me. Bronwyn, thank you for coming today so I can interview you on your first book that you've ever written. I read it regularly and I find it really helps me. Can you possibly tell me why you wrote the book?
Kez, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love your work and find that there's a real alignment between our values and the way that we live. So that was really important to me in saying yes to come and have a chat to you. I wrote my book because I was in the depths of a breakdown, and I was encouraged to face a massive fear by my counsellor because I was scared of putting anything on paper in case it could be used as evidence against me to prove that I wasn't perfect. And so I started journaling, and then as I came out of my recovery and moved, more into being able to go back into a normal life, I was talking to people about what I was writing, and more people were saying, "We need this. This is needed in the world. You must turn this into a book." And so then that became like a little project for me and something to work towards, and gave me something to put one step in front of the next, which really helped my recovery.
So would you say that you're a perfectionist?
I now say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. One of the things I learnt through having a breakdown was that I absolutely was a perfectionist. And so now all of my work is around showing people there's a very different way to live, and that we don't have to drive ourselves to the point where we have a traumatic event in our lives just to be able to change.
Do you have a favourite quote in this book that you'd like to read to us?
My favourite quote is by Danielle Laporte,
Okay.
and it is, "Do you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?"
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I often sit up in bed at night time and read little snippets of the book. I've read it through 2 or 3 times, and I find that every time I read something, it makes me very aware of how my day's gone and how I can make it just that little bit better. I get very stressed. This book has really come my way for a purpose, I believe. And so when I read the little bits and pieces, I can take a big breath and think, I can do this, or I don't need to do that. Do you agree?
Definitely. More and more, the more people that buy the book, they keep coming back to me and saying, I take it everywhere with me. The number of people who send me photos of them in different places at different times because something happens in their day and they reach straight for the book, because the book just gives them little tips and tricks that help them think a little bit differently, view the situation that they're in a little bit differently, and that makes it so much easier to just to have a bit of self-compassion for yourself, and just say, hey, that's okay. This is just something that's happened to me today, and there's an easy way out of this.
I was in Bali just recently, and I was having a not too good day with the heat and being a bit stressed because I was doing a book launch over there. But I did read. I took this book with me, and I did read this. Can I read a little post from it? It's from Mahatma Gandhi. Keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behaviour. Keep your behaviour positive because your behaviour becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. Now that really spoke to me. And while we're on destiny, Bronwyn, what is your legacy with this book is concerned, with the work that you do? I now believe you're writing for an international newspaper. It's an email. It's not a physical paper. It's on social media. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a magazine called mywellbeing.com, and they're one of the fastest growing online magazines in the health and wellbeing space. And they've asked me to write a monthly column for them, basically looking at simplicity, how to live our lives differently, how to get rid of, de-stress, and basically just little tips and tricks on how to think a little bit differently that allows you to transition through some of the things that happen in our lives. Because let's face it, life isn't linear.
No.
Things happen, and we are given challenges and tests, because that helps us to grow and develop and to learn the things we need to learn to keep moving forward. And so these types of magazines are so important now, because I think we can all, look at how we're living and say it's not working for us.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, how do we do this differently without that, chronic fear of change?
Fear is a huge thing in our lives, isn't it? I think fear actually drives us to do a lot of things, whether we want to do them or not want to do them. I think fear is in the corner, putting us on. So your legacy?
My legacy is to, be a conduit to ease the suffering of humankind. So I want everyone to know that you don't need to wait for the traumatic event in your life to be able to change. I want everyone to know that change is easy. We've been fed this line that you have to wait for the traumatic event before you're allowed to change. And it's almost like the traumatic event gives us permission to change. But that's not the case. Change is easy. We need to get ourselves out of overwhelm. We spend far too much of our time worrying about what's happened in the past, worrying about how it's going to feel when we do this, this, and this in the future. If we come back to now and we break everything down into little steps, our life is just, it flows. It's so easy, and it's a pleasure to live.
Okay, that sounds fabulous. So I'm going to let you introduce your book and your contact details and say our goodbyes till next time.
Thanks, Kez. My name's Bronwyn, and I'm the author of Keep It Super Simple, Tips from a Recovering Perfectionist. And I wrote this book so that everyone could know just how easy it is to flow through life, and just how easy it is to change.
And it works.
And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And my website is www.sheiqlife.com. So that's chiclife.com. Thanks for having me today, Kez. It's been fantastic to chat to you.
It's wonderful. Thanks very much, Bronwyn. Everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next month.